What's going on, everybody?
Hey guys, what's
What
up?
is going on?
Hey, what's
Yo,
up?
yo, yo.
We are live with Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit.
Special guest, Fred Durst.
Keep rolling.
He's just here for the nookie.
Just here for the nookie. You know, it's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up.
What up,
Yeah.
what up?
Well, we got some activity in the chat already. Super TA, I think, was the first one
Nice.
to do a 2021 golf course shout out. James King, Papa Mo's Low, the lawn analyst is here. Dan Childs,
Woo!
Bermuda
Boy.
Brian's picking us over the History Channel tonight.
That's right, baby.
Woo woo. We got Dave Bilecki in the house, Weekend Warrior Lawn Journeys. Man,
What
we got
is
a lot
up,
of people.
guys?
What up,
Nice.
Dave?
All right.
Thanks
Thanks for jumping on.
Thanks for
That's
joining,
deep
everybody.
already.
Yeah.
That is deep.
Oh, man. Look at this. Growing great.
Growing with Greg.
All right, so we got a lot to
Dan
talk
Child
about.
saying
so,
Stripe Life. He's saying your mic sounds pretty
Sick.
good.
got an
He doesn't
upgrade.
even know. Tell Childs tomorrow I'll see you and give you a little nut slap, buddy. That's my best friend. He lives like 20 minutes from here, and actually we're gonna go meet up tomorrow for dinner, and we're gonna swing by Lowe's and see what we got on the clearance rack.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
It's funny. I was literally going to say, man, you barely even said anything. This guy's already doesn't even realize like how much time you spent on this thing.
Yeah.
You must have heard about the deals neighbor Dominator was talking about.
Yeah, actually,
Oh.
yeah, they have them. You just got to find them. That's the thing, though. You know, you can go to
All
one
about
store.
timing.
You can go to one store and they may have nothing. You go to another store and shit, there's a whole rack that's on clearance or whatever. It just kind of depends. So don't give up. Get a couple
Look for
stores.
Look for sure cans too. I got a sure can on sale for
Oh yeah.
like $12 or something this couple months ago. So see if they have any of those left.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Stepping up my gasoline game. I don't know. Is that a thing?
That gas up.
Flexing on the,
No more
flexing on the
steel.
gasoline can.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about tonight, so let's go ahead and get started. Just want to welcome back to the smooth sounds of Keep Off the Grass livecast. I was kidding.
Not as sexy.
Hey guys, welcome to the 6th episode of Keep Off the Grass livecast. I'm Brian, or Lawntism, as known on my social media accounts. I've got the privilege of kicking off this episode. Tonight we're going to be continuing our discussion from last week of spring seeding. We're going to be introducing our special guest tonight, but just wanted to give everybody a heads up. There will be another special announcement at the end of the livecast, so stay tuned. But first of all, we want to do this special announcement, so I'm going to share my screen real quick. Keep Off the Grass now has a website.
Oh yeah.
Look at
Play that sound, Olee.
Ooh-wee.
You should have had him cue up the drum roll sound effect.
Yeah, drum roll. All right, so guys,
Hey,
come
that's
on
pretty
and
good.
come on and check out our website. It's KOTG.live. KOTG.live. Up here at the
Sweet.
top, it's going to look a little bit different on your cell phones, but you'll have a home, meet the cast, live cast, and then we'll get to the other part here in a second. But it just says welcome, and then a little bit who we are, and we got just a reminder that we're live every Tuesday night. You can click on these buttons and follow us over the YouTube channel. If you guys have any questions, you can drop us a line, get us to our email. We can maybe include questions in future episodes and stuff like that. You can check out our latest live stream episode that's going to be down here. So tonight or tomorrow morning, you'll see the episode 6 on here. So, and then if you go to meet the cast section, we put in our brief bios. So you can go to the YouTube video that has our introductions in there as well. But if you scroll through there, You can see a little bit about who we are, our yard size. I heard it's not all about the size, but we've got grass
is.
types, grass types, what kind of mower we use, where we're located, and then we've got links over to our Instagrams and our YouTube pages. So definitely come and check those out as well. And then the other page that we have is the live cast. So this one's going to be including all of our episodes, our seasons and our episodes in here. So you can come in here and keep them all
That looks clean, Brian.
categorized. Thanks.
That looks really great.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, watch the video straight from here. You can go to the YouTube channel. All right. The next section is pretty awesome. And I'm going to let Brent introduce this one.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yeah, so one of the other things that we've been working on, in conjunction with trying to, with launching a website is working with all the different podcast platforms to make sure that we're able to push our audio out. We recognize that, first and foremost, we have a difficult time slot, I think, for a lot of people. Or maybe it's a really good time slot for a lot of people. I don't know. I think that this time slot would be perfect for me personally, watching, a YouTube show. But, in recognizing that some people are going to have difficulty kind of tuning into the live cast, or, may not want to or have the ability to sit down with their computer or their tablet and watch, the YouTube video, we wanted to make sure that we were also pushing the same audio out to all the different podcast platforms. So that's something else that we've been working on over the last couple weeks. And, I'm pretty psyched right now to say that we're up on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. So if you go to the website, you should see buttons down there at the bottom, and those buttons will link you right to that podcast platform, and you can go ahead and subscribe there, and, kind of be able to listen to the audio on the go if you want. Hit it up in the car or something like that. We also have all those links on our Instagram and the link tree in our bio. So been a lot of work, I think, over the last couple weeks,
Awesome,
between
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's like 4 days.
Yeah, it's been a lot of kind of a labor of love, I think, getting the website designed and put together, and then, getting the podcast audio all sorted out, but it's done, and it's there for everyone to listen to. So definitely give us a follow on any of those podcast platforms if you can't catch the YouTube stream.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Brent. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this. I just want to do our daily or nightly grab your glass and keep off the grass. All right.
And go Hawks.
Thanks for doing that. Finally, I was needing a drink.
I want to keep everybody thirsty until that got over with,
I've been sipping.
Oh yeah, keep them thirsty. I like that.
All right, we're going to turn over to Bill, who's going to introduce our special guest tonight.
Yeah, hey, I'm excited to introduce Made You Look Lawn Care. We got Lalo coming out with us all the way from Southern California. This is pretty awesome. Yeah, we did a little random drawing for anybody that was watching last week and wanted to jump on with us this week. And Lalo was the lucky guy, so we're excited to have him on here. It's neat to bring somebody on that's kind of been with us since the beginning and engaging with the show. Kind of fun to have him on and kind of learn a little bit about what he's doing with his yard, being out there in California. I was looking through some of your stuff. It looks like he's been a really busy guy. Did a renovation last fall, and I'm excited to see how his lawn looks coming into springtime. I mean, it's probably already getting warm out there now. I don't know. Lalo, how you doing out there in California right now? What's your temperatures like?
I'm doing well. I hate to say that I'm enjoying the sunny weather out here. We've been in the 70s out here. I mean, don't hate me for it, but it's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Do you ever get bored of just that clear blue sky? I mean, ever?
Ever. I never get bored of it. I mean, I could go down to the beach tomorrow and head up to the mountains and be in the snow on the same day.
No way.
Yeah.
We got beaches here in Iowa too, so
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, the
I'm
Mississippi
sure you got
River
some,
doesn't count.
You got some beaches.
Those are called sandbars.
Oh man.
All right, so
Well,
Lalo,
that's
tell
right.
everybody a little bit about yourself, because I know some of these guys in here know you on the chat and stuff, but what type of grass do you have? Maybe what kind of mower you use, stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm kind of like starstruck being with like the all-stars of the lawn care world right now. I don't know, but yeah. So I have a 2,600 foot square, 2,600 square feet of lawn. It's mainly tall fescue.
Nice.
I'm using a 21-inch Husqvarna mower. I recently added a Toro striping kit to it.
I saw that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah,
We're
I
gonna
did
have
a
to
full
talk.
reno on my front lawn. It's about 1,100 square feet. It's like I said, it's mainly tall fescue. It's been rough, man, because when I did the reno, I did it in less than ideal, weather conditions. I mean, the soil temps were really low at that time, and man, it's been rough. Right now, I feel like the lawn is kind of it's taking its sweet time to come up, man. It's kind of frustrating, but I gotta trust the process. Let it do its thing,
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Sometimes it
Don't
takes
rush
a
it.
minute to come up.
But yeah, that's where I'm at. And tomorrow I'm gonna dump a bunch of nitrogen on it. I don't have my soil test back, but I'm gonna dump a bunch of nitrogen on it tomorrow, and hopefully it wakes it up.
yeah. So that's actually. I was just gonna say it's interesting. So Lalo, you and I talked a couple of weeks ago when you sent me some of those pictures. You were considering, since we're doing this like a continuation of the spring seeding, are you potentially going to look into filling in some of those bare spots, or what's your plan?
I think that my plan for right now is I'm gonna just let it ride. If I get weeds, I'm gonna just hand pull. I'm not gonna put any herbicides on my lawn at all. Just hand pull any weeds. Dump for now. I mean, just dump a bunch of nitrogen on it, and then once I get my soil test back, then I'll know exactly how to move forward from then.
There you go.
All right.
Lalo, good game plan.
Yeah. But I'm gonna be throwing down some of that screaming green, courtesy of Mr. Olee there.
Oh, that's
That's
right.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
talk about that a little bit. You won that. And how
Yeah,
that all
I
went
won
down.
that.
Forgot
what
about
was it?
that.
A
First
couple of
episode,
weeks
I
ago.
think.
I'm not exactly sure what episode it was, but Mr.
Yeah,
Olee was
first.
doing a giveaway at the end of the podcast there, and
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to win that bag of screaming green.
I still owe you some cheer wine.
Oh yeah.
That's the
Send it
most
out.
important part of that giveaway, man.
Got to.
I'm still waiting for it.
I'll get it. I ain't sent it yet. I'll get it.
All right.
Hey, Lalo, how much nitrogen are you gonna put down? Have you done all your FERT math on that?
I'm gonna throw down a pound of N.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Coming
I'm gonna
out
try to
hard.
get
Yeah.
it. I'm gonna pound it with that nitrogen for now.
What's your
So-
choice of Ian?
What's that?
Hammer time, baby.
So I got a question for you. So with your guys' season more consistent, like here in the Midwest, we have a season. You got your spring, you got your summer, and you got your fall. Like, describe your guys' season as far as like timetable. Is it like 9 months of growth, or can you describe that a little bit? For I guess I don't know as much.
Well, in my area, it starts to cool down right at November. The soil temps.
When you say cool down, what temps are you talking?
Well, for us, since we're so spoiled out here in California, once we get down to 50, man, we're cold. You know what I mean? Like I'm freezing, and so soil temps, start to cool down also. But I mean, pretty much, if you take care of your soil and your lawn, I mean, you can go 12 months.
Okay.
It really doesn't stop for us out here.
Wow.
Just maybe slows down a little bit.
What's that?
Now, David, is that kind of the same situation that you have?
Oh
down in
yeah,
South Texas?
definitely. We're in the 80s pretty much throughout the whole year. I don't know what happened last week, man. We got into the 20s.
What was that?
I was like, we got some very little snow, and I don't know what went up, man. It was just crazy. I just want to go back to mowing my lawn, bro. That's it. but we're back to the good growing season, and there's no stopping me now. So
hey, how are you thinking about recovering out of that crazy cold snap with your St. Augustine that you had?
The good thing is that I have an advantage. Yeah, it was just a tip burn. I have an advantage.
That goes away after a couple weeks. Don't you know?
It does.
Does it?
Don't worry about it. It goes away.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm sculpting the lawn very soon. A little bit taller than a little bit higher there where the stolons are at. So I don't want to go too much deep. And the good advantage that I had was that I laid some potash a few weeks ago, so that really helped me out a lot. Actually, today I actually saw some green down there, so actually I have the greenest lawn in the neighborhood at the moment.
I was gonna say you're probably still dominating relative to the neighbors.
Yeah, that's happening. That's gonna happen.
Prove it.
Prove it.
Trust me, I'm going big this year. So
yeah,
stay tuned for that, folks. Stay
Hey,
tuned.
Lalo, we got some questions for you coming in here in the chat. We got Jacob Morissette. He wants to know how you're going to manage your applications with a 12-month season if you're putting 1 pound of nitrogen down. What does the rest of your program look like? And then Jackie,
I'm only going to put a pound of nitrogen down. Probably, my first application will be tomorrow, and then I'll do that maybe one more time after that, and then I'll bring down the rates. But once because out here where I live, man, the temperatures can reach 100 plus starting about May, and they last all the way up until like September. So I'm not gonna go really heavy on the nitrogen. Just a few applications of the nitrogen, and then I'm gonna scale it down to maybe 3/4, maybe even half a pound of N after that.
Yeah,
but in the summertime, no. I mean, I don't want to push the growth in the summertime, because it gets really hot. I don't want to stress the lawn, so I gotta take it easy.
Yeah, Jackie Alvarado said she wants to know how the desert weather affects your lawn. A lot of people, I'm in Utah and I'm considered desert, so I kind of know what it's like. But all these Midwest and Eastern guys don't know what it's like with the dry, deserty weather. So
yeah, I mean, hey, shout out. Actually, that's my niece. Shout out to Jackie Alvarado. Hey.
All right.
Anyways, so yeah, I mean, if I'm not careful during the summertime, I mean, I can get fungus. So I got to be really careful with that, with the watering and make sure that everything is on point, because it can go pretty bad pretty quick.
All right.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question for you, Lalo. Just on that subject of watering, I mean, where you're at, I mean, do you experience a lot of drought throughout your season? Like, is that an issue for you?
It is, because out here where I live, we average 8 inches of rain a year. So that's when I tell you that it gets hot, it gets hot, and it's dry out here, and it's tough. I mean, so your watering has to be, I mean, and granted, I've never done that whole tuna can challenge where you're measuring the water. But I kind of eyeball it, and I kind of, listen to the grass, to see what it's telling me. But it is rough out here. I mean, the heat is rough. So
yeah.
That's what you're saying, because so many of us are like the cool season just in general here in the Midwest. I mean, I think the last time I checked here in Des Moines, we've gotten, I think it's 47 inches of snow this winter.
Wow.
So the last 6 weeks,
like 8 inches of water is.
Yeah. Mine's still covered.
Yeah, I mean, out in the desert, you're probably getting like negative precipitation at certain points where it's just drying out of your soil.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. And the heat, it just hurts. I mean, I guess in Arizona it's worse, but
Yeah.
Out here in California, where I live in the high desert, it's really hot in the summertime. So
Yeah, when I came from Phoenix, we averaged about 3 inches of rain for the year, and 120 degrees or so in the summertime. It hurts. Yeah, it tightens
yeah,
your
because
skin up
last
real
summer,
tight.
yeah,
That's
last
where you
summer
see
it was,
folks with
man,
like
it was so hot.
rocks and astroturf.
I think last summer we had a day where it was 115 degrees. It was, man.
Why do people live there, man? That's crazy. That's crazy. I can't comprehend.
Man,
did you see last week when it was -30 here? That's why.
Right.
Okay. Fair
Damn.
enough.
-30.
All right, so let's swing it back a little bit. I know this episode's about spring seeding, and I think Nate, you wanted to follow up where we left off last episode. You want to start from there?
Yeah. So at the end of last episode, and we kind of ran out of time, but I kind of proposed a question. We're talking everything, and we never hit on starter fertilizer. So I was just kind of throwing it out there. Hey, who uses starter fertilizer? What do you use? What do you got to be careful with? What special ingredient you need to be in there, and then also what are the triggers for spring seeding? Similar to like a pre-emergent, you're looking at that ground temperature. But is there anything for spring seeding that's a trigger, such as soil temp, or hey, I'm going to look for rain in the forecast and I want it not to get below a certain degree for the next 6 months or whatever. So just kind of for those who have experience with spring seeding, what is your, what's today's the day? How do you determine that? Anyone going once?
I feel like this is a Mark question, right?
There you go, Mark.
Oh man, I was just saying,
Let's
I
get
don't
lit.
know if I want to talk about that, man. I got some people telling me that they don't believe in spring seeding. I think it just depends. I mean, it's just. I mean, everybody's got a different comfort level. I've had this conversation with a lot of people. I thought last episode was really interesting just to hear some feedback on people that, that overseed both maybe even spring and fall, or people that have done some kind of renovation work. That's just my personal preference for the moisture levels. And, I thought it was interesting reading some of the chat from our last episode on Kentucky bluegrass, when people talk about making it through like the summer months and stuff, which, I think it's an interesting topic. I don't necessarily, everybody's soil and everything's different, but yeah, for me, going back to it, I basically just say, I'm looking for soil temperatures. I mean, today it's crazy. I mean, we were at -17, I think it was 3 days ago, and today it was 54 degrees where I'm at.
I was in shorts and t-shirt today.
It's just really erratic. I've definitely had situations, even when I overseeded this fall, put it down, and then we got frost in, basically the first week of September there. And then we got like 15 inches of rain right afterwards. And it just flushed everything out. So, but yeah, no, I'm just looking basically at a 10-day forecast. For me, if I'm going to do like seeding bare ground, I'm looking at like late April, early May. That's the kind of my sweet spot. Particularly if I'm going to do tall fescue. But if I'm going to do Kentucky bluegrass, I do try to get that down earlier. And I'd love to hear my man Zach on here, Mr. Backyard All Day, the dormant seeder. Nate, I don't care if you don't want to hear about it. I want to hear about it.
I make one comment. And I'm just getting beat up.
So I dormant seeded a 5.5 thousand square foot area in my lawn.
Great idea, Zach. Great idea.
In January. Yeah, it is a great idea because I'm going to be mowing when you're seeding it. I'm going to be mowing that shit when you're seeding it. And so, yeah, like the whole idea is to get a couple week jump on and let Mother Nature just let it grow when the temperatures are right. A few downsides to that is we could get some really hot weather and then it could get cold again. And then that's not good. That's not a good situation. So to prevent that, I overseeded a little heavier. I normally would go like 5 to 6 pounds 1,000. I went 7 to 8 pounds 1,000 on some very patchy spots in my yard. It's a very neglected area. However, though, if it is successful, I will be mowing when you're seeding. So, and that's the whole point. A really good thing when you're dormant seeding is if snow gets on it right away. I dormant seeded about 3 months ago on that area, and it's been covered with snow for 3 weeks, and it's now just melting. So it's holding it in place. When the snow melts, it's going to be right there in the dirt. Good seed to soil contact, and I'm hoping for some good results.
Yeah, a little that slow release water in that snow too, right?
Yep.
Are you getting the influx in temperatures like we are here in Iowa right now, where you get that swing?
Yeah,
right?
it was like 45 today. Here in Northwest Ohio, it was like 45 today.
Okay.
But there's still snow.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, there's still snow
Right.
a good over a foot covering my lawn.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious. I'll just put it out like to anybody in the chat or in here. Zach and I think have had this conversation. So for people that come out of, let's say this is going to be a particularly brutal winter for a lot of us that are north of the Mason-Dixon. If you've got super, super patchy areas or areas that you overseeded in the fall that didn't make it through this winter, I know a lot of people are anti kind of spring seeding. So what would you guys do? Would you just ride it out till fall, or like what would be the plan of attack?
Yeah, to go off that question real quick, like, yeah, so if people have bare spots in their lawn, what are you going to do? Are you just going to like think that fertilizer is going to like blast it and fill that big gap? Or are you so if you're not doing any type of spring seeding, how do you plan on filling your bare spots? Or maybe you don't have any bare spots.
No, I have a few bare spots, and I did a little, like I said last episode, a little dormant seeding area. In general, I prefer to focus on the weed control. So what I'll do is do something like an edge rate. I get a lot of bare spots along my edges, my sidewalks and driveway. So I'll do the edge rate of the prodiamine on there, and that way, I get a little bit more of a weed barrier. And I just keep that area bare until it's time to do the fall renovation, the fall overseeding work. But I don't have if I had big bare patches, then yeah, I would think about the dormant seeding strategy or even the spring seeding project. To try to get something going in those areas. Even if it doesn't make it, that there's no harm in my mind about trying. And then, even when you do a big spring seeding project or an overseeding project, in my mind, I'm also thinking about that's going to require fall work as well to keep filling in those bare areas, especially if you're starting from like bare ground. If you do a spring seeding project, especially with, fescue or ryegrass that doesn't spread laterally on its own, you almost have to be pairing that spring work with fall work anyway. So, to answer your question, I keep the area bare with using pre-emergent, and then just focus on it on the fall if I have a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've anytime that I've had bare spots coming into the spring, I've always thrown a little bit of seed at it. This is the first year that I'm going to do, a full-on overseed in the spring, but, I've certainly looked at, some bare spots or some spots that really did not fare very well over the winter time. And, I've thrown some seed at that and, kind of gone out there with the little weasel and, crushed it and, made sure I threw some seed at it and taking care of that to fill that in. Now, I can't really say like a percentage wise, over the years, like how successful that's been. But I would say that probably, I'd say, probably 60, 70% of that, of whatever it was that I had, planted in those bare spots had survived through the summer. And then I was able to go back and overseed in the fall and get it relatively well filled in. And then, come the next spring, I'm dealing with some other bare dead spot someplace, from a pile of snow or whatever it was.
My big thing. So when we first moved into the place that we're at now, the lawn started dying off as it got warmer, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And I bought one of those bare spot patch repair kit things and put it down. And sure enough, it sprouted. And then once the summer heat hit, it was dead. It was just like, I got my hopes up. thought I knew what I was doing, and it just was toast when it hit the summer temperature. But if you were to be more serious, or if you kind of know what you're doing more and you want to do true spring seeding on bare spots and things like that, I guess it seems like the first decision is, you probably wouldn't want to use prodiamine or any of those traditional pre-emergents in those areas, obviously. You could probably use them in other spots of your lawns, but if you just kind of keep track of where you're going to put some seed down maybe, and then just keep it wet, irrigate it, unless you got rain coming in, that way it gets healthy enough that it can withstand those summer months, depending on where you live, how hot it gets. I think for me, unless your lawn is just really bad, and it just pisses you off every time you're mowing your dirt, I would be like, get some quality seed and hit it hard in the fall, make it last. Cause like Brent was saying, if we're going to spend $100 or so, on a 50-pound bag of seed, or more, depending on what kind of yard you're working with, I want all of that to germinate as best it can. I want it to be under like the best conditions, which I would just get so frustrated if I, spent some money on some quality seed and it all died off. I would just be kicking myself. But if it's not that bad, get yourself through the summertime and just have a blast in the fall with a fun fall project, maybe.
Yeah.
I think you go either way, really.
Yeah. I think if you are going to kind of patch areas, I think it's okay to put, pre-emergent over your whole lawn. You just have to kind of go back, like Brent said, with like something like a garden weasel or a rake, and scrape up and work that top layer of soil to kind of break that pre-emergent barrier.
Yeah.
And then put your patch material down. So that way, as the grass sprouts in that patch material, it can send roots down into the soil of your lawn. Because, something could happen if you don't do that, where, you get that grass that sprouts inside the compost or whatever kind of planting medium is in those patch kits, like the Turf Mend or, like the Scott's patch, what do they call it? Patch Master or whatever they call it. But, you could get the roots growing in that compost or that medium, and then not being able to break into the grass. And then that's when they die, because they dry out or they get too hot. So you definitely got to break up. And I'll give another hot tip. I don't know if Olee got the sound effect, but I'm going to recommend everybody needs a garden weasel. I'm going to say that's the MVP underrated lawn tool is one of those garden weasels.
Yeah, for sure.
Sean, speaking of patch, I heard you say patch about 7 times. What's that patch above your lip?
Oh, a couple days ago. I've been watching, rewatching Parks and Rec, and got inspired by Ron Swanson. So
nice.
Let it grow.
Looking good.
Yeah, Mark, to answer your question and then also tie it back to the original question from Nate about starter fertilizer.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of snow here in the Northeast, and so what I plan on doing this spring is kind of taking an assessment when the snow melts, because we'll be coming right into the spring season in no time here, and I'll have to make a decision. Do I try to repair these bare spots if there are any? And then how am I going to do that? So if it's minimal, I'll still do a pre-emergent, but I'll leave about a 2 feet, I'll leave like a 2 feet distance or edge on those bare spots where I don't apply any of that pre-emergent. And I may put a little bit of seed there and, see what happens. I think that's the safe zone, just kind of keep away 2 feet with a pre-emergent and see what happens. If it's worse than that, and I feel like I need to go more like an actual spring overseed, I might actually just get the Scott starter fertilizer that has the tenacity in it.
Nice.
Do an overseeding over the entire yard, and then put down that starter fertilizer. I mean, the Scott starter fertilizer I use, it's like a 25-24-4, and the nice thing about starter fertilizer and why I like to use starter fertilizer is because it's got that phosphorus in it, which is excellent for root development, because the phosphorus that's in the soil is relatively non-mobile and not available to new seedlings. So that's a main purpose that I like to use the starter fertilizer to go and answer your question, Nate.
Gotcha. So just speaking of that, I've heard people use starter fertilizer in the spring to, even if they're not overseeding, just to kickstart everything. Has anyone ever heard that before?
No.
I'll use leftover. So if I got leftover fertilizer from my fall overseed, I'll put that down,
Sloppy seconds.
Yeah, that's essentially,
but
yeah, that's essentially what it is.
I like
you got
the organic
leftover starter.
Yeah. I mean, most of my stuff is all slow release stuff, for the most part, but that starter fertilizer, throw it down, maybe beat your neighbors to the punch, green up a couple weeks before them, and get the show started a little earlier than them, maybe. I don't know. But mostly it's just to get rid of what I've already got and just get it out of my garage.
So, hey, Vince, are you saying even if your soil test shows that you're higher on phosphorus, that you're going to apply phosphorus?
I'm not high on phosphorus at all. I'm actually way low on phosphorus, so I'm okay with that.
But you were saying, based on soil, you don't know how much is available to it. So, I mean,
how do you mean?
How are you figuring that out?
Oh, no, that's just in general. Just in general, phosphorus is non-mobile in the soil. So the phosphorus that's already there in the soil in general is not going to be available to the plants for immediate uptake. So
how do you know your soil test picked that up? How do you know your soil test picked that up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just in general. I don't have an answer for you there. Just in general, my understanding is that phosphorus in general is non-mobile in the soil. So
yeah, for sure.
So applying a starter fertilizer that puts a kind of like a fresh, application of the phos that's more immediately available to those seedlings at germination. That's my understanding.
Yeah, you want it in there as the seeds are starting to sprout and putting out roots and growing into seedlings. Anytime you put, I don't want to say anytime, but most of the time when you put down seed, whether you're spring seeding or fall seeding or not dormant seeding, that's when you want to think about doing the starter fertilizer.
Yeah, we got a couple guys in the chat. Kenny Cooper, Lawn Life, he's saying starter fert in the spring is a common thing. Elevated Landscapes said he's going to go with a balanced, quote unquote, starter fert for the spring. And so, yeah, a couple of people are thinking of doing that too.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, fuck you guys. See, told you.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're using a starter fertilizer outside of a time when you're trying to start seed, you definitely need to be basing that decision off of the results of your soil test of what the phosphorus and potassium levels are.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think, my understanding of putting down starter fertilizer in general too is just to drive that root development, right? That root depth, drive those roots deeper.
Yeah, and that's a good time too to think about like a kelp product too to get those roots going too.
So since we're on the spring seeding, there's two questions I have for folks. Because my first one honestly was that, for most of the people that I seed their yards, you're talking they probably only have like maybe 40% currently filled in, or it's a salad bowl. We're just gonna nuke that off. So if somebody came to you and they said, I want to, we're not talking sod, would say I want to seed from scratch, I want to seed from bare ground and nuke off, and you're gonna put in, I don't care if it's let's take perennial ryegrass out of it. If you're gonna do turf type tall fescue or Kentucky bluegrass and you're gonna seed bare ground, when would you do that in your current region for those of you guys that are cool season?
I mean, if I were to do it, I would do it as soon as the ground is kind of thawed out and workable in the spring, and get the seed into the ground as quickly as possible, so it's in there whenever the soil temps come up. Like ryegrass, you said not to talk about ryegrass, but that could start somewhere around like 45 or 50 degrees, and then fescues sometime around 50-ish degrees as like a bare minimum soil temp. So you want the seed kind of in there and worked into the ground when the soil temps come up to get the seeds.
So let me rephrase this. So if you were going to go and put down from bare ground, I don't care what it is. Let's say it's a turf type tall fescue mix. It's a Kentucky bluegrass. I don't care if it's a mid-Atlantic compact midnight, whatever. when would you, if somebody was going to pay you and said it's got to fill in, would you do it in the fall or the spring?
What would you do, Mark?
Well, I do it every spring, so that's already my answer. So
sounds like people don't know.
Like my whole thing, I thought
Bill.
it was really interesting from our last episode, because I think there's a general a myth out there that isn't true, that you can't seed in the spring. And I understand that there's an inherent risk, but there are people that, I mean, I'm not going to throw this person on their bus, but they told me that they were told that water, basically precipitation, grows crabgrass. I'm like, well, it grows plants too. You know? So, you know, my whole point is like, I'm just trying to understand, like, for me, if I look at somebody's yard and they, you know, they want to either nuke it off or they only have like 50% of their grass is filled in. I don't care if you throw 9,000 pounds of nitrogen on the soil. If there's no grass left there, it's not going to just, to Zach's point, it's not just going to miraculously grow grass. So are you just going to wait 7 months because of pre-emergent? Like, I think that's the one area I'm trying to understand just from that perspective. And the second one that I'd really like to actually, I personally think in cool season turf, I think for most cool season weeds are easy to smoke off. That's just my personal opinion. So I don't get as worried about that as others, but I'd actually be curious for like, particularly because we have Cody and David here. You guys are in totally, I mean, the whole cycle is totally different. I'd love to hear like what your guys take on that as far as spring versus fall, because you guys got super, super hot summers, but you have you know, obviously more temperature.
Do you
I'd like to hear your guys take on this, because we don't get a lot of warm season opinions in here.
Do you sod or do you seed or do you sod?
Down here, bro, people are like, we're so impatient, so they want to see results like super quick. So I don't think nobody wants to seed. And I personally, I'm not gonna go to a customer store and be like, hey, can I drop seed for you? I'm not gonna offer it. The money's not, the profit is not there for me, and they're not gonna take the time to water it properly. So
it just doesn't seem beneficial for, you know, someone like you, David, to do that anyway. I mean, it's just a lot of work for.
It's a lot of work for very little. It's just a lot of work. So we just sod, man. There's a lot of sod from the start here, so it's just better for us to sod.
Yeah, David, is your area?
I'm sorry.
Is your area like all St. Augustine, or do you see some Bermuda and other warm season grasses too?
You see people grow common Bermuda, but that's pretty much it. You don't see that hybrid Bermuda down here, so it's mostly St. Augustine. So that's my specialty right there. Ever since I was a kid, St. Augustine. I actually thought that was the only grass, but you start growing and you're like, oh no, there's tons of grass stuff out there.
David first saw some fine grass blades and was like, oh, that's probably some
yeah. Man, the first time I saw Bermuda was actually in my football field, and it was pretty nice. I was like, man, what's this? But you only see Bermuda like on football fields. That's it. Or church, sometimes churches and stuff like that, but that's it.
Oh yeah, I know. For me, when first moved in here in 2018, I had a lot of plans for the backyard. You know, I had to grade it out. I had to bring some more soil in and everything. And I know me and my wife had a discussion on what we were going to do. And at the time, really getting into lawn care, and I was like, I'm going to go ahead. I want to seed. I want to start. I want to what all these other guys are doing. But honestly, it's just like, do I have time for that? Do I have, you know, just the oomph to do it all? And I was like, I don't know. And then my father-in-law called me. He's like, hey, I found like 7 or 8 pallets for you. And they're like $800 for some hybrid Bermuda. And it was the end of the season. This is November of 2019. And I was like, yeah, let's. So we sodded we put sod down in November, and it was cold and it was wet. And I mean, I was afraid at the time because I didn't know much about lawn care. So I was like, oh, this isn't going to take at all. But sure enough, It did, and it looks great out there. I mean, other than that one spot that I'm always worried about, but other than that, it took really well. And that's what everyone does out here in Texas. I mean, you can go by all these new houses that are being built, and that's what they're doing. Those guys are out there throwing that sod down. It doesn't matter what year or season it is. So they're throwing it down, and it's gonna
growing.
Look good.
It's growing.
Now that's interesting to me. So, I don't know anything really about warm season grasses. Is it, I mean, outside of what you were saying, David, is it easier to just maintain it that way? I mean, let me ask it this way. Is it more difficult to grow a warm season grass straight from seed, or is it just the ease and, like you were saying, David, kind of like the immediate, satisfaction of having a lawn?
They just want to see results. They don't see I guess they don't want to see something grow from seed. They just want to see it there. I think it's easier for them just to water it that's already established than for them to wait a few weeks for it to grow and then not mow it, and then you're gonna see this and that. It's not gonna happen.
Well, plus
like
you
buying a house,
can't get.
You want it all done, right? You mean, you don't want to have to, if you don't care enough, you don't want to put in the effort, you want it just done. That makes sense.
Right. And I mean, you can't get certain warm season grasses in seed anyway, like St. Augustine. They don't make, there are no St. Augustine seeds, right? It's all either sod or plugs. Yeah.
Okay.
Bermuda is pretty, there are some higher end like Bermuda seeds, but that's pretty common for sod too. But
okay, yeah. So that answers my question, Sean. I mean, I had no idea. Because I'm not going to try to grow St. Augustine in New Jersey,
Right. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
A funny story on my Instagram. I was actually going to to one of my buddies, but he's my customer and my friend. So I went to his house. He's like, "Hey man, what's going on with this part of the grass?" He has St. Augustine, right? So I go, and that's when the cooler temps were coming up, right? So I go, and then I see dormant Bermuda there. I'm like, "Bro, what did you do?" He's like, "Nothing." I'm like, "You dropped Bermuda, right?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah, you did it. That's dormant Bermuda, bro." And he's like, and then him and his wife were just kind of like licking each other, like, "What did we just do?" It's screwed, man. So you can't really do much there. They're gonna have to live with it until they have to resod to St. Augustine again. That's it. It's gone. Once Bermuda hits your lawn,
that's it. Yes, you got to sod cut that all out and start over again.
And it still grows. So
yeah, right.
Once Bermuda's in your lawn,
congrats on your new Bermuda lawn when you get Bermuda.
Right. So if you have a cool season lawn, and you got a patch, I have this patch in my yard, this one corner, and I get these runners that come out, and they kind of like finger out into my driveway too. Yeah. And I rip that shit out, and it comes back. Is that what Bermuda or St. Augustine? Could that be what that is in my yard?
It might be.
It can be St. Augustine for sure. So it can be Bermuda
or creeping Bentgrass.
Bermuda usually what's out there.
I'll have to rip some out this spring and then show it to you guys on my phone and let you guys identify that for me.
There's Bermuda in our area, Bill, in Missouri, and it could also be creeping Bentgrass, like somebody said too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
fun.
True. That's true.
It's hard to kill.
Now that leads me to a question, and I know that we have some people in the chat, specifically Dave, working at golf courses. If I have this idea of putting a putting green in of bent grass, what's that going to do? I don't know anything about bent grass. So, I mean, this is just like, off the top of my head, like a quick thought that I had, a week or two ago, like, oh man, I would love to make a putting green, cause I golf, and I would love to like really make a real putting green. Right, but what's going to happen?
The cool season Bermuda,
man.
Yeah,
I mean, I actually asked Mark that same question. I actually I asked him because we were talking about seed. I'm like, man, I'm thinking of putting some perennial rye in the bag. How would that work? He's like, I don't know how the weather is down there. I'm like, we're over 100 degrees all the time. He's like, yeah, it's not gonna grow. So yeah, I don't know, man.
People regularly will overseed. I mean, perennial ryegrass into Bermuda. I'm by no means. I don't know jack. I'm not gonna sort of crap about warm season turf, but I mean, you are literally down on the Mexican. Like you're as far south as we get here.
Yeah.
Man. Like, and a lot of the perennial ryegrasses, they just they just they don't do that well down there. No, the bentgrass thing is actually interesting. I'm actually doing one of those down the street here this spring. As far as spring seeding, I'm going to be doing. So he has his yard's Kentucky bluegrass. I seeded it last spring. We're going to do a section of his yard. We're going to level it off and do a putting green with bentgrass. So, I mean, we'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, I've never done it, but I've heard it could be like super temperamental about growing, and getting the wrong product on it will just wipe it out. And I think there's even like there's even like putting greens. There's putting greens that have like cooling systems underneath them, where it gets like really hot to keep the bent from overheating too much.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. We actually have Iowa State's turf management program. He's got a connection there. It's actually how I made my connection. So we're gonna be doing like a whole series there where we're doing some putting greens around here. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That'll be a really cool project. I wish you luck. Like I said, I've never done it, but from what I've seen, it's not easy to do.
Yeah, I mean I've heard it's super temperamental, and
anybody that is in like, if you have like tall fescue or something like that, I wouldn't just choose to put bentgrass in your yard. Like it's like you have to be pretty committed to like wanting a putting green or something, because
I've had that thought before, Brent. Like you were saying, you said, oh, what if I could just mow real short and just have this one spot that can just really baby this one spot, make it look real sexy. But every now and then I see other folks who are trying to do the same thing, and it just seems like a lot more effort and headache that I'm willing to commit to try to keep that spot healthy enough to where you can cut it that short.
Right.
Granted, you're not in the Midwest. I grew up in Western Washington, and it was green year round, but I don't even know that we get enough sunlight for it to stay healthy. I think it would get thin. I don't know, but I do empathize with that thought of like, oh, just this one sexy spot that I can just really take care of. But I don't know that I could personally do it. I don't think it would work out for me.
Yeah, especially if you're real mowing, you gotta at green height, especially you gotta mow that every day, every other day at least. So you got to commit your time to that. So maybe you could start with like a Kentucky bluegrass area and kind of see if you're able to do it, and then kind of take it from there.
I know we're coming up on time here, but our last thing at least on spring seeding. So Olee, of all of us, you probably have the biggest project. I mean, what's the update on that?
We're making some headway. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're making some headway. We got some holes drilled over the weekend in that rock. So we're about ready to mix some rocks and pop it out. But I done overseeding last year here in the spring. And without doing that, I would have had twice the weeds and mess if I wouldn't have overseeded and got it going.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think, getting the seed down is going to prevent future weeds from coming up. You get that thick lawn, like Olee said, get some seed in there. It's going to be less weeds in the future.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you don't have something on the ground, junk's going to grow.
Olee, what time, when do you plan on seeding, Olee?
As soon as I can. As soon, I'm hoping in about 2 or 3 weeks is what I'm hoping for.
Well, you're out there every day with your soil thermometer.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what's the temp up to today, man?
43.
Oh, getting there.
Yeah, okay. You're really he's really keeping track of his soil temps. I mean, I still got half a foot of snow on my lawn.
So hey, what temp are you?
Try it, but I probably otherwise would be doing the exact same thing. I'd probably be out there every day, every other day, just checking to see like what's the soil doing. So
I'm itching to get going, man. I got some big dreams, some big hopes.
What temp are you shooting for to seed? What temp are you waiting for?
Probably right around 50. Right around 50 is what I'm hoping.
That's what Tony just asked in the chat. What is the ideal temp for spring seeding?
I think normally they tell you the air temperature somewhere between 60 and 70, in which our air temperature today was 65.
Damn.
Yeah, we were 70 today.
I
I was
for
right
50,
with that.
55 degree temperature.
Yeah, I had to.
Spring.
We're eating 90
today
over here.
fall, but
Yeah.
It was humid and hot. South Texas was.
So moist.
This week. How about last week?
It's the season all year long.
Yeah, last week he got a taste of our lives up north.
That was painful, bro. It was cold.
Well, speaking of last week, what do we got coming up next week?
I don't know.
All right. Well, I guess time to kind of wrap it up. Time for that special announcement that everybody's been waiting for. So we want to also thank Lalo for joining us this week. It was pretty cool to have you on here and shoot the whatever we're talking about back and forth with you and kind of learn a little bit more about you. It's nice to know. We appreciate your support that you've given to us on here since we started. And
Yes, sir.
Shout out to your fan club there in the chat that came and joined and giving you props there. So appreciate everybody coming out for that. So next week, we are going to have Justin, the Lawn Whisperer, join us. Kind of do the same thing. Just join us and chat and talk about life.
Whoa.
And so we'd like everybody to come back next week for that chat. Anything else you guys want to say? Wrap up?
No, it'll be great. It'll be Justin the Lawn Whisperer and all 13 of us.
Saturday,
That's right.
We'll be at Olee. What is it gonna be? Olee, Nate, and Zach, myself. Saturday night at at George's channel.
Just cut.
Don't forget about that.
George.
Yeah, the freshman class.
So I'm excited for that.
That'd be cool.
I know Vince and Clint already went in there, so we'll be there to have fun and represent.
That'll be fun.
I know what I'm doing that night. Tuning in. That'll be awesome. I'm excited to see you guys on there.
The rest of us on there, huh?
Hey, Lalo.
Yes, sir.
Well, so what's going to be your choice of in? You said you're going with the pound. What you going to use?
Screaming Green, sir.
Oh,
yeah. 16-2-3. Screaming Green.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for. This,
that good
this,
stuff.
You got the prodiamine in that, or is that just straight?
No, it's just straight fert.
Okay.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
12-week feed.
12.
11,
Is
12.
that what it is? I don't know. I'm throwing it down again in 4 weeks, so I don't know. I'm the new
Go
guy.
about
I don't know.
12
I just throw it down. I don't know.
Throw down.
I like it.
It don't matter.
For the best.
You will get
Hope for the
11 to
best.
12-week feed out of that, just so you know.
Yeah, because it is slow release, right?
Yes, sir. You got 5 different nitrogen sources in there. You got something quick, something that hits next, something that drags a little slower, all the way down to out to 12 weeks. So
Yeah.
Well, there you go. If you get your watering right through the summer, you'll have a little bit of nitrogen to keep the green and the grass
Keep it
going
going.
through your heat.
Right.
so instead
Hey,
of
quick question: Is it normal for my dog to eat that fertilizer?
Yeah, don't do that.
Oh,
Isn't
I
it?
threw it down the other day. My dog was eating it. I'm like, I know it's organic, but what?
Oh, that's some
That's
strange stuff right there.
probably
Yeah.
chicken poop.
That's not that
Yeah,
type
man.
of organic.
Isn't it part of biosolid?
Oh yeah,
It's
the
chorizo for
biosolid.
dinner.
Yeah,
They go crazy over that.
your dog's gonna have some pretty potent biosolids here too.
Make sure you bag that up and spread it.
Man,
Yeah, there you go.
I might
That's some-
sell it out here.
That's some major furt.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Appreciate everybody. Thanks everybody for joining the chat. And all you guys tonight. And Lalo,
Yeah,
thanks for
chat.
joining us. And
Yeah, man. Thanks for
we'll
coming
see
out.
you guys.
Yeah,
Hey, man, thanks for
everybody.
having me. I really appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Course, brother.
Olee,
good
hit
one,
us with
Lalo.
the tunes.
You guys.
Hit us with the tunes, Olee.
Little Fred Durst there.